I've been waiting forever to make this video, and I'm so incredibly happy that the day has finally arrived. Hello, welcome to A Briefcase of Luxury, a place where we love to chat about all things related to life, learning, and luxury. So to be completely blunt, one of the main reasons why I don't feel comfortable showing my face on YouTube isn't because I lack the self-confidence to show my face. I'm perfectly okay with my face, but rather, I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't be 100% comfortable if my students or professional colleagues knew about this side of me and my personal shopping/spending habits, which is a huge topic on this channel. And that's because I am a business professor that essentially studies and researches rational decision making. So I guess it's a bit like being a personal trainer who knows how to diet and how to train, but maybe they've let themselves go a little, if you know what I mean. I won't say it's quite the same as like being a personal financial planner and not having your own personal finances in order. But it does still feel a little hypocritical that I am supposed to be somewhat of an expert on strategic decision making, yet all someone needs to do is take a peek at my personal life, and I can see how easy it would be to start questioning my judgment and critical thinking skills, and maybe in turn question my professional work and opinions, and I just don't want to jeopardize that. So I'm sorry but not sorry if it comes across as being hypocritical, because I personally think I am good at my job, but that doesn't mean I haven't made many poor decisions that I am not proud of. But in this video, I do want to talk about the decisions that I've made that I am proud of, and I am so proud to say that I am finally credit card debt free. After constantly carrying a balance for years and years, at least over a decade. So if my credit card debt was a child, it would be in middle school. Now, this doesn't mean I'm 100% debt free. I still have a mortgage, I still have student loans and car loans, but hey, we gotta celebrate the little wins in life, okay? So towards the end of last year, I finally made the decision to get serious about tackling my personal finances because I'm not getting any younger and my income is finally somewhat stabilized. So knowing that I'm probably not going to have any major swings in my income, provided that I don't lose my job, it's just the perfect time to get that area of my life under control. Plus, let's be honest, my shopping habits have really gotten away from me over the past few years, and it all started when my income started to get comfortable. By the end of last year, I had somehow racked up over $30,000, almost $40,000 in credit card debt, and I was just flabbergasted. I honestly don't even know how it happened. I do. It was a home reno here, a vacation there, a little shopping here, a Birkin there, spread out over multiple credit cards. And I think what made it even worse was that in the back of my mind, I knew I could pay it off if I wanted to. I always paid more than the minimum balances, but just never paid them off in full each month. Not because I couldn't back then, because psychologically, it felt better to have money left over in the bank, you know? But it got to the point where I actually couldn't pay it off even if I wanted to. And so yeah, before I knew it, almost $40,000 in credit card debt. So once I made the intentional decision to get my finances in order, I knew this was the first area I desperately needed to tackle. It's been about 7 to 8 months since I first got serious about it, and while I know this probably isn't possible for everyone to tackle in this amount of time, depending on a whole host of different factors like your income, your other debt, your fixed expenses. And so just to provide you guys with some context, my husband and I, we both make over 6 figures. We have a mortgage, we have 2 car payments, and we do have student loans. So that, at least gives you a general idea where we are coming from in terms of our take-home income and our other debts. Now, for some of you, making 6 figures, having a dual income household that's making 6 figures each, may mean that knocking out almost $40,000 in credit card debt may be no big thing, right? For others, considering how many people making over 6 figures can still be living paycheck to paycheck, knocking out that amount can be difficult and it can require some lifestyle changes. And for me, it was actually the little changes that had the biggest effects. So I wanted to share with you 5 daily habits for what I did to get out of credit card debt and what I plan on doing to stay out of credit card debt, this time for good. Some of these may be super obvious, some of these may seem counterintuitive, but hey, if it works for me, I hope it works for you. At the end of the day, just bear in mind, consistency and simplicity will always beat complexity and sophistication. Let's get started. I lied. Before I start, this is going to be another chatty video. I don't have a lot of eye candy to show, so feel free to just let this play and go about doing your chores and all that good stuff. And also, if you are struggling with debt and with shopping, just please know that you are not alone. I make this video not to brag or to put anyone down, but just to encourage those of you out there who are struggling that, I get it. It's not easy for sure, but it's the best gift you can gift yourself, so hang in there and don't give up. My first habit was to be in manual and not automatic mode. The first thing I did when I set out to tackle this amount of debt was to make it explicitly clear to myself that this was my priority. Not a new bag, not a Christmas or a birthday present, not a summer vacation, but this, getting out of credit card debt, had to be the number one priority. And when something is top of mind, you can't be on autopilot, even if you wanted to. Because anytime you automate something means you are dedicating your focus and brain power to something else. Now, this may sound somewhat controversial, I know, especially when most financial gurus will tell you that, hey, being on autopilot in terms of setting up auto drafts, auto pays, etc., is a great tool for building wealth without you even realizing that's what you're doing. But here we're not talking about building or increasing wealth. We're talking about decreasing debt. So having auto payments drafted to pay set amounts for my credit card balances every month just really wasn't cutting it for me. So when it came to tackling my balances, I took myself off auto mode and put myself into a manual mode, overdrive. So I had to personally make those transactions, which means I now have greater control over how often, when, and how much I wanted to pay down my balance. And since I was off autopilot, I actually set a little alarm on my calendar to track my bi-weekly pay periods. And every time I got paid, I'd set aside time that day to manually go over my statements. Now, stuff like our mortgage, car loans, utilities, etc., those I do have set up to auto draft just so I don't have too much to worry about at one time. But for my credit cards, I had to manually make sure that they got paid. And so for the past few months, I've been paying my credit cards bi-weekly, and I would make sure to pay the maximum amount I can afford to, as opposed to the minimum balance or whatever automatic transfer I had set up before. Being able to be that hands-on really did make the progress feel real, and I'm always constantly aware of how much I had left to go. My second daily habit was to make sure my credit card debt was not out of sight and not out of mind. During this period, any given day, I knew exactly how much I had left to pay. You could say I was borderline obsessed with it. And what I did was I had the balance left on every credit card in my notepad on my phone, and it's the top line that I see whenever I open my notes app. That's where I also keep my groceries / errands list / wish list, etc. But before I can even look at anything else, my credit card balance is just blaring at me at the very top. So each time I wanted to add stuff to my grocery or wish list, I'd be reminded of my balance, and it would make me think twice about adding unnecessary things to my list. It would make me pause, at least just for a second, to ask myself, hey, if I purchase this, how long will it set me back by? So yeah, I became somewhat obsessed with that number and the need to watch it go down every 2 weeks. Sometimes I just find myself sitting and staring at that number and calculating different scenarios of doing mental math and figuring out how soon before it would finally read zero. It was a great way to keep me motivated and to be constantly reassessing my other needs in my life, including my groceries and my wish lists. My third daily habit was to take care of my fixed expenses first, me next, and then my debt third. So practically speaking, I did make sure that all of my fixed expenses were taken care of first, and I do plan on making a separate video after this to give you an idea of how I've been funneling my money after every paycheck. But after fixed expenses are taken care of, you would think that if paying off my credit cards were that important to me, that would be what I handled next. But not really, because I know myself. I know I'd be miserable if I really had a scarcity mindset of feeling like I can't have anything extra until my debt is paid off. I know this is how I ended up in this mess to begin with. So what I would do next is actually to put aside a small but set amount of fun money so that I still feel like on this journey to paying off my credit card debt, I have enough set aside to have fun without relying on credit cards. Again, I'll cover this more in a future video, but let's just say my husband and I agreed on putting aside $6,000 in total. So that's $3,000 for each of us to spend on shopping for this first half of the year. So even as I'm paying off my balance, I still have something to look forward to. Yes, that $6,000 could have gone a long way in helping pay down the debt even faster, but we didn't want to be completely miserable for this first half of the year either. My fourth daily habit was implementing a no leftovers strategy. I know this strategy goes by many different names, but essentially, the one that's worked best for me has been the zero-based budgeting strategy, where every dollar in my bank account is assigned a purpose. Again, I'll share exactly where things go in my next video, but in short, I have a daily spending checking account that I keep at a set balance. That's it. There's never a dollar left in there over that set amount. But so whatever is over that amount, I will manually use to pay extra towards my credit cards. So every paycheck, I start fresh all over again at that set balance. At first, it would stress me out not seeing my bank account grow. Because with this strategy, it means I'm not putting anything extra towards my fund money or towards the principal of my mortgage or car loans. It means I'm not putting anything extra towards my savings or retirement either. My dollar amount over my set amount, any dollar that's over my set amount gets funneled into paying down my credit cards. And I had to be okay with my bank account looking a little stagnant. So it does feel like I haven't made any progress, but I just have to accept that that's more of a mental block rather than a true reflection of my personal finances, because here we are today. My fifth daily habit was relearning how to scratch my itch. I saved this for last because this was the most important for me personally. Like I mentioned earlier, I know myself and I know what a struggle it can be to see my growing available credit balance, see a good sale or a good deal on a pre-loved, hard-to-find bag, and want to blow all the progress I've made. If you are a luxe lover like I am, like you probably get it. The kind of shopping we do, it just takes one bad decision to blow thousands of dollars. And whenever I do feel tempted, there's two main things I do. The first thing is I go to my closet and I take a moment to shop my current collection and to appreciate everything I already have. So if there's something I was wanting, I would find it in my closet, at least the most similar item I own, and just start to go over a mental checklist of, do I really need a second item for something that will essentially serve the same purpose? And then usually the answer is no. Now maybe in the future I can replace what I have with it, but I'm also not ready to part ways with anything in my current collection either. But just taking a moment to play around with my bags, for instance, since if you've been around, you know that bags are my kryptonite, then I usually do get reminded of how insanely blessed I already am. Now, the second thing I do is to check my fund money account and see how much I have in there. And if it's something I'm willing to spend my fund money on, then if it is, then great. If not, I can pass on it. For me, it's actually been fun having a set fund money amount. So now here we are in June. We've hit our fund money amount of $6,000 and I have yet to spend a drop of my $3,000 allowance. But I've been thinking through how I would spend that money and I have some ideas, and hopefully I'll have a haul video sometime for you guys this summer to show you how I've spent it. As a side note, let me know how you would spend $3,000 that's set aside specifically for luxury shopping. We are also resetting the clock, so we will be putting aside another set amount for the second half of the year. I don't know how much that will be yet, but the other option is I could also save my $3,000 so I have more by the end of the year. I'm not sure if that's what I'll be doing, since I do have some ideas already on what I want, and we will be taking a quick shopping trip this summer. So those are the 5 habits over the past 7 or 8 months that have led us to going ham on my credit card debt and totally annihilating it. And again, for some, it may not seem like a big deal, but for me, I've personally have had a balance on my cards ever since I got my first credit card in my 20s, and I've never been at a true zero balance, so this is new to me. But what I learned from doing this is that being credit card debt-free is not a one-and-done deal. All the work I put into this can easily be undone with just one bad financial decision. I remember when Fashionphile had their winter-spring sale, and the temptation was so real to just say, hey, just get that Kelly bag now. It may put you back about $12,000, but you'll never have to worry about getting one from the boutique in the future. You don't have to worry about pre-spend. It's the bag, the color, etc. that you've been wanting. And I was so close to pulling the trigger, even though I know I didn't have enough set aside for it. And I would have had to rely on credit. But at the end of the day, I know another bag that I like will become available. I know Fashionphile will have another sale event. And I just don't want to spend my entire life having to obsess about my credit card debt day in and day out like I have over the past couple of months. And by the way, I'm not saying credit cards are from the devil. I will most definitely continue to use my credit cards, but I will definitely be a lot more disciplined about making sure the balances stay paid off and not to even put any purchases on there where I don't already have the funds to cover it first. So what's next? In my next video, I want to share with you how I currently have my finances set up and what my new money goals are and how I plan to reach them. So now that I am credit card debt free, the next step is to put in place the systems, processes, and goals to help me stay credit card debt free. I want to open up a little bit more about my finances and share with you how I've been managing my money since I started this journey and what I plan on doing moving forward, as well as some goals I've been able to hit this year so far, in addition to paying off the credit cards and some other goals I'm still working towards. So if you aren't already subscribed, please do like this video, hit the subscription bell, and I'd love to see you again in our next video.